I'd like to call the virtual Building Code Structures Board meeting of August 5th, 2020 to order at 9:39. I don't have a gavel, so I don't know if they snap it or something. I'm not sure. So, Debbie, can you please call roll?
Yes, sir. Chair Eric Sandoval.
Here.
Vice Chair Eric Schmidt.
Here.
Andrew Dykeman.
Here.
Stephen Forrester. Brenda Hartog.
She's on mute, so there you go. Thanks, Brenda.
Thank you, Brenda. Gary Heikkinen.
Here.
Randy Samuelson.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Randy.
Hi.
Hi. Keo Zuschlag.
Here.
Thank you, Keo. Okay, Mr. Chair, right now everyone is present except for Stephen Forrester. And just for the record, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. I, Eric Sandoval, Chair Sandoval, rule the agenda and order of the business approved, and we'll go through that agenda. So,
You turn your sound up on your speakers.
thanks. We have an executive session today, and so we'll be breaking for that as part of this. And thanks for starting the meeting here.
Can I hear you?
Yeah. So the executive session will start after the board business. So we've called the meeting to order. We've done the roll call. We'll do the approval of agenda in order of the business, and we'll look at the draft board meeting minutes of November 6th. And I just asked if anybody has any opposition to approving the November 6th meetings that we had in 2019. So hearing no objections, rule that we've approved those minutes. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the date of our regularly scheduled meeting. I know we've had a number of meetings that have been canceled due to lack of agenda items, but the next one that's scheduled is November the 4th. So during that, yeah, go ahead, Eric.
If we could please remind everybody to mute mics, unless you're actually speaking, it would be helpful.
Oh, that'd be great, yeah. So if you could mute your mics unless you're speaking. So Randy, I'm not sure if you're able to do that, but if you'd like to speak, just feel free to mute and unmute as you go. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I know this technical stuff is hard to do. You should be a screen in the middle that says mic, camera, screen, leave, and the one that says mic, if you could click on that green circle, that would work for the muting. Very good, thank you. So let's move into the executive session, and we have a script here. So as we move into the executive session, the Building Code Structures Board will now meet in executive session. We'll just do that. Let's give ourselves probably 5 minutes to adjust between here. So right now it's 9:44, so we'll go into the executive session at 9:49. The executive session will be held pursuant to ORS 192.6602F for this session, which allows the board to meet in executive session to consider information or records that are exempt from disclosure by law including written advice from board counsel. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session, and all other members of the audience are asked to disconnect from the audio conference board. Representatives of news media are specifically directed not to report on or otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or anything said about these subjects during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decisions may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, the board will return to open session and welcome members, staff, and the public to join the meeting through the go-to meeting for the rest of the board agenda. So I'd like to ask Debbie and staff if we're ready to move into executive session based on your equipment and audio recording. Is that understandable?
Okay, like you said,
Yeah,
Mr. Chair. Excuse me. As you said, Mr. Chair, let's allow 5 minutes in between, and I will go ahead and switch the streaming equipment.
Okay, so just to be clear about the streaming equipment, we will now enter into the other hyperlink. Is that correct?
Yes.
On this for the executive session. Okay, so is everybody clear about that method of going from here to the executive session link and then coming back to this link for the public session? Anybody have any questions on that?
But just to be clear, if we're going to disconnect, we're going to leave this session and go to that other executive meeting hyperlink and basically re-log in or reconnect to another go-to meeting, right?
That's correct. Randy, you have some statements. I saw your mouth moving there. I didn't know if you could put you back on the microphone to ask a question.
This is all new to me. I apologize. So I'm not sure how I leave and come back.
Okay, so the way you leave is inside of this go-to meeting. There's 4 buttons on the bottom, and the one that says leave on the bottom. Don't do it quite yet. I just need to, otherwise you leave, and I won't be able to tell you the rest of it. But you would click on that link, and you will leave the meeting. Then you go back to your invitation for the meeting from Debbie, and in there there's one that says executive session, and right underneath that there's another link. And so you'd click on that link and then re-log in, and so you may need the staff person that you had before to come back and help you because she seemed to know what was going on there.
Yes.
Stephen, thanks for coming. We're just going to be moving over into the executive session. So there's 2 links, Stephen. I was just explaining to Randy about that. So we're just closing up the public session and then moving into the executive session. So we'll be reconvening. And I'm going to reset the 9:49, which is only 2 minutes away, to 9:55. So that will give us time to log off and log back on because there seems to be some need for some technical movement. So, Stephen, I didn't apologize for not being able to refill that. Is that clear for you, or you're just coming on? So.
Yeah, I think I'm fine. I was logged in on the executive session meeting. Was the only one there. So
you were in front of us. All right. Well, that's where we're all going now. So,
Mr. Chair, this is Jim Smith. I just had a question.
Sure.
How much time should I set aside once I leave the session before I try coming back into the public session?
I think I would alternate every, give maybe a half an hour to start with and then log in every 10 minutes after that. I don't know exactly how long it's going to take because the executive session will allow for a lot of questions for our work, and so I don't know when we'll stop. We do have an 11 o'clock set point for it, but we may be coming in earlier than 11 o'clock. So I would try earlier than that.
Mr. Chair,
Very
if
good.
I may
Thank you very
interrupt.
much. Yep, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Debbie.
If the public would watch the regular viewing on the division's website for our streaming, I will put up a slate right before we're ready to go back into open session for the public part of the meeting.
Okay. Is that clear, Jim?
Yep, you bet. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. All right, so I think if, I'm going to ask one more time if there's any other questions before we depart. Any other questions? None. Okay, so by 9:55, we should be set up for executive session, so see you all there. Thanks. I'm going to ask the division to see if they're ready, that they've posted the live stream, that our public meeting is available. Debbie, could you help me with that?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and if you'd like me to do roll, I can do that as well.
Okay, let's call roll again and see where we are with the number of people here.
Yes, sir. Sir Eric Sandoval
Here.
and Vice Chair Eric Schmidt has asked to be excused for the remaining part of the meeting, so he is excused.
Yes.
Andrew Dykeman.
Present.
Thank you. Stephen Forrester. We will come back to him. Brenda Hartzog.
Yes.
Brenda. Gary Heikkinen.
Here.
Thank you, Gary. Randy Samuelson. Okay, we'll come back to Randy. Kale Zuschlag.
Here.
Thank you, Kale. And although we're not voting, we do have a quorum. And Mr. Chair, for the remaining part of the meeting, I would like to introduce the staff that is connected, if I may.
Yes, please do. Thank you.
Okay. Alana Cox, who is the Manager of Policy and Technical Services. Alana, are you connected?
I'm here.
Thank you. Tony Rocco, who is our Structural Program Chief with PTS, Policy and Technical Services. Tony, are you also here?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thank you. And Tyler Glaze, he is our Policy Analyst for PTS, Policy and Technical Services. Tyler, are you here?
I am, yes.
Thank you, Tyler. That's our staff. And if I may ask if Randy Samuelson has reconnected yet? Has Stephen Forrester reconnected?
I'm here. I'm here.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay, Mr. Chair, we'd like to wait a few moments for Randy, or if you'd like to continue on with the meeting. Up to you.
Yeah, I'd like to continue on with the meeting, so we'll restart the meeting at 11:18, and this is the time for public comment. So if there's anyone here who'd like to speak at public comment, this would be the time to do that. We don't have the ability to make any motions at this time, but if you'd like to let us know what you're thinking about, this would be the time to do that. So turn off your mic and let us know that you'd like to speak. Debbie, there doesn't appear to be anyone who'd like to speak at this time. Did you receive any correspondence electronically, or Tony, did you receive anything electronically or in the mail about public comment for this meeting?
Mr. Chair, this is Debbie. I have not received anything electronically. I do see some individuals connected to the meeting, but they have not said that they want to speak during public comment. And Tyler Glaze is the policy analyst, so he would be handling this part of the meeting. I'm not sure whether he has actually received anything or not. Tyler, have you received anything?
No, I have not.
Well, thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Debbie. Let's go on to the next agenda item, and that's the report. So right now we'd like to do a program report. Tony, could you help us understand where we are and what's been going on for the last few months? I know it's a big read for lots of time because we haven't met for 2 sessions, but thanks very much for being here.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Tony Rocco with the division. So really just a brief update for the board today, and wanted to cover just two items. So one thing is our technical team just posted a new technical bulletin to the commercial structures program page. And this document, hopefully a useful tool that kind of outlines existing tenant spaces, existing buildings, and then that newly organized approach under the 2019 OSSC that you're all familiar with, from that adoption process using the OSSC in conjunction with the IEBC. So it is available there. I'd recommend you all go check it out. Here it is. You can kind of see it. So we're pretty excited about that. And then the second item I just wanted to touch on is that our technical team is still compiling errata for the 2019 OSSC. So if you run across anything that looks like just a typo or a misprint, please feel free to forward that on to us. And we're looking for, hoping to release errata around Q1 of next year, which would be 1 year after the mandatory effective date of the code. That's all I have for you, Mr. Chairman and the board. I'd be open to any questions.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate your update and especially the technical memo work. I know that you've worked hard there in the division to get these things moving forward and giving directions for folks to provide tenant spaces. So at this time, I'd like to open up to the board for questions. If anybody would like to ask Tony questions on the program or things that are of concern, I'd do that now. All right, thanks very much, Tony. Appreciate it. And so our agenda item is running down to the end items. We don't have any unfinished business and no new business, no announcements. And so I'd like to move to agenda item 8, Roman numeral 8, for adjournment, and adjourn the board here at 11:22. Thanks very much, all you board members, for coming today.